Audio perceptions have to do with how those around you can view you or see you when you have a disorder, such as pronouncing words. So, audio in this scenario means the sound that you make with your mouth. When you're younger, it might be seen as cute or funny. When you're older, it might be seen as unprofessional or immature, whether you are in high school or a young adult or even a full blown adult. It can be seen as not fully grown, or you did not learn from your mistakes. Instead of being all cute, say that again. There are two different types. Actually, there are multiple different types, but two different types are articulation disorders, and that is when you cannot form the sound with your mouth. So it's a motor issue instead of a putting it together inside of a word. So a phonological disorder is when you can say the sound by itself. You can look at a letter and say that sound, but when it is in a word, you might mix it up with a different sound. This can be corrected from a very young age. Many people notice it early on, and when they do, the earlier the better. My husband's grandfather, he actually was blind and deaf from a very young age, so he was unable to learn the proper sounds that letters made, which made him have a hard time pronouncing things. I had a friend with a lisp, which meant that she was not able to fully say S, or a sound that her teeth would come together, her tongue would come in between. And that was seen as a speech disorder. And it would sound like she was saying a TH sound. As a child, I actually had issues saying an X sound. I always said a C sound, so instead of X, it was K. So I left off that end part of the X. For my students, I had a fifth grader this past year that could not pronounce his CH sound. So whether it was CH, TCH put together, any of the ch sounds, he could not say those. And when his teachers thought he could not read correctly, they brought him to me as a special education teacher and asked me to work with him. And along with the SLP, we found that he could tell you the difference between a CH and an SH. So, for example, if he was trying to say catch, he would say cash. But it wasn't because he didn't know it. He could not actually form the CH sound with his mouth. So it was more of a motor issue. The positive side of that was obviously we were able to find out that he knew the sounds. He knew how to read. It wasn't that he couldn't read. But on a negative aspect, he was affected, or it affected his confidence a lot. He was very quiet. He was very withdrawn, didn't try very hard because he was not going to make the best grade anyways. So in his eyes, why even try? His reading scores were also very low, which, he ended up with more help and support put in place toward the end of the year once we figured out what was going on. But unfortunately, it did take a while due to lack of support at home. But those are just some of the examples that I have of audio perceptions. And obviously, that child was widely bullied. He was unfortunately bullied a lot in school and treated differently by some teachers, unfortunately. And we were having to go into the classroom and help them understand. So that's how it can be affected.